In a galaxy where diverse civilizations coexist, an alien diplomat, initially harboring contempt for humans due to their perceived barbarity and emotional volatility, is assigned to oversee peace negotiations between her race and Earth. Through a series of unexpected events, she encounters a courageous human soldier who challenges her prejudices and ignites a profound transformation within her. As they navigate cultural barriers and political intrigue, they discover a connection that transcends their differences, ultimately leading to a romantic bond that has the potential to reshape intergalactic relations. And so, the story begins. Velexia's sleek, metallic blue spacecraft glided into the docking bay of Nexus Prime, the colossal interstellar hub that glittered like a jewel against the backdrop of a vibrant star. As the ramp lowered with a hiss, she stepped onto the landing platform, her long, elegant robes billowing slightly. Her antennae twitched, detecting the unfamiliar hum of human technology intermingled with the more familiar frequencies of various alien devices. Humans, she muttered to herself, her violet eyes narrowing. Velexia, an esteemed diplomat from the Arcturian Empire, had always viewed humans with disdain. To her, they were nothing more than impulsive, primitive beings, their emotions as wild and unpredictable as the untamed oceans of her homeworld. A group of human officials approached, their uniforms crisp and their expressions formal. Among them was a tall, broad-shouldered man with a calm demeanor and piercing blue eyes. Captain Alex Carter, his name badge read. Velexia's antennae twitched again, this time in annoyance. She had read about him in her briefing, a decorated soldier turned peacekeeper. "Welcome to Nexus Prime, Ambassador Velexia," Carter said, extending a hand. Velexia glanced at the hand, a human gesture of greeting she found unnecessary and inefficient. She clasped her hands behind her back and nodded curtly instead. "Thank you, Captain. I trust the preparations for the summit are in order." "Everything is ready, Ambassador," Carter replied, unfazed by her cold reception. "The delegations are gathering in the Grand Hall, if you'll follow me." As they walked through the vast corridors of Nexus Prime, Velexia couldn't help but notice the stark contrasts. The station was a kaleidoscope of cultures, with alien architectures blending seamlessly with human engineering. Holographic displays showcased lush alien landscapes alongside scenes of bustling human cities. It was a sensory overload, and Velexia found herself disoriented by the cacophony of sounds and sights. At the Grand Hall, Velexia took her place among the other delegates, her seat positioned prominently to signify her status. The hall was a marvel of engineering, with towering columns that reached up to a domed ceiling adorned with holographic constellations. Velexia's gaze flickered to the human delegation, where Captain Carter stood at the forefront, his eyes scanning the room with a practiced vigilance. The meeting commenced with the usual formalities, but it wasn't long before tensions began to simmer. Velexia observed the human delegates closely, noting their passionate arguments and animated gestures. They lacked the composed demeanor she had been taught to uphold, and she couldn't help but feel a twinge of superiority. During a particularly heated debate over trade routes, Velexia's attention was drawn to a commotion near the entrance. A human child, no more than 5 years old, had somehow wandered into the hall, her wide eyes taking in the alien spectacle with awe. A small, furry creature from a neighboring star system had also found its way in and was now cowering in a corner, clearly frightened. Velexia watched in disbelief as the child approached the creature, her movements slow and gentle. The child knelt and extended a hand, offering a piece of food. To Velexia's astonishment, the creature sniffed the food tentatively before accepting it, its fear gradually giving way to trust. "Fascinating," Velexia murmured, her preconceived notions about human barbarity momentarily shaken. She had never considered that humans could display such tenderness and empathy, qualities that were deeply valued in her own culture. The tension in the room reached a breaking point when a human delegate made a remark that was perceived as an insult by an alien counterpart. Voices were raised, and Velexia could feel the atmosphere growing dangerously volatile. She glanced at Captain Carter, who was already moving to intervene. "Ladies and gentlemen," Carter's voice rang out, firm and commanding. "We are here to find solutions, not to create new problems. Let's take a moment to collect ourselves and remember why we are here." Velexia's superior, A stern Arcturian named Queller leaned towards her. "You must find a way to ease these tensions, Velexia. It is your duty." Velexia nodded, though inwardly she felt a pang of frustration. She had been sent here to represent her people and uphold their values, but now she found herself in the unenviable position of having to understand and perhaps even empathize with the very beings she had long despised. As the meeting adjourned, Velexia lingered in the hall, her mind swirling with conflicting emotions. The child had left with her parents, the creature safely nestled in her arms. Captain Carter approached, his expression thoughtful. "You handled the situation well, Ambassador," he said. "Thank you, Captain," Velexia replied, though her voice lacked its usual confidence. She couldn't shake the image of the child and the creature, a simple act of kindness that had shattered her prejudices in an instant. "Humans are nothing more than barbarians with advanced toys," she had once said. But now, as she watched Carter walk away, she couldn't help but wonder if perhaps she had been wrong. The next morning, Velexia was summoned to her superior's chambers. The room was dimly lit, with soft blue light emanating from crystalline sculptures that adorned the walls. Queller stood behind a sleek desk, his expression unreadable. "Ambassador Velexia," he began, "I have an unusual assignment for you. You are to shadow Captain Carter today. Learn about human culture, their customs, their way of thinking. It is imperative for our negotiations that we understand them better." Velexia's antennae twitched in irritation. Shadow a human. Is that truly necessary, Queller? "It is not only necessary but crucial," Queller replied. "Dismiss your prejudices, Velexia. This is an opportunity to gain insight that could be invaluable to our cause." With a reluctant nod, Velexia made her way to the meeting point. She found Carter waiting for her, a small smile playing on his lips. "Good morning, Ambassador," he greeted. "I hear you're my shadow for the day." "Indeed," Velexia replied, her tone icy. "Where are we headed?" "There's a cultural exhibition on human history and achievements. I thought it might be a good place to start," Carter said, gesturing for her to follow. As they walked through the corridors of Nexus Prime, Velexia couldn't help but feel out of place. The station was a bustling hub of activity, with beings from countless worlds mingling and trading. The air was filled with the aroma of exotic foods and the hum of alien conversations. The exhibition hall was a vast space filled with artifacts, holographic displays, and interactive exhibits showcasing the rich tapestry of human history. Velexia's antennae quivered as she took in the vibrant colors and intricate designs of the displays. "Humans have a long and diverse history," Carter explained as they approached a display of ancient artifacts. "From the earliest civilizations to the modern era, our culture is a mosaic of influences and innovations." Velexia studied a holographic representation of an ancient human city, its towering structures and bustling streets a stark contrast to the sleek, minimalist designs of her own world. "I must admit, Captain, I am surprised by the complexity and beauty of your history." Carter smiled. "There's more to us than you think, Velexia." As they moved through the exhibition, Velexia found herself drawn to a display featuring various forms of human art. Paintings, sculptures, and musical compositions showcased the creativity and emotional depth of the human spirit. One particular piece, a painting of a serene landscape bathed in the golden light of sunset, caught her attention. "It's called Peaceful Haven," Carter said, noticing her interest. "It's a place where people can find solace and tranquility, even in the midst of chaos." Velexia nodded, her thoughts drifting to the tensions and conflicts she had witnessed the day before. Perhaps there was more to humans than she had allowed herself to see. Their exploration was interrupted by a sudden commotion. Alarms blared, and a voice crackled over the intercom. "Attention all personnel, we have an intruder in the exhibition hall. Please evacuate immediately." Carter's demeanor shifted instantly. "Stay close, Velexia," he instructed, his voice calm but firm. They moved towards the source of the disturbance, and Velexia's eyes widened in shock. A rogue alien, its skin covered in iridescent scales and eyes glowing with malice, was wreaking havoc among the exhibits. It lashed out with its claws, sending visitors and artifacts flying. "Get back," Carter shouted, positioning himself between Velexia and the alien. The creature lunged, its claws aiming for Carter's throat. With a swift motion, he dodged the attack and delivered a powerful blow to the alien's side, sending it crashing into a display. The alien roared in fury and prepared to strike again, but Carter was quicker. He grabbed a fallen artifact, a staff adorned with shimmering crystals, and used it to deflect the alien's next attack. Velexia watched in awe as Carter fought with skill and precision, his movements fluid and calculated. She had never seen a human in combat before, and his bravery and determination left her momentarily speechless. The rogue alien, realizing it was outmatched, snarled and fled, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Carter turned to Velexia, his chest heaving with exertion. "Are you all right?" he asked, concern evident in his eyes. Velexia nodded, her mind racing. "You saved me. Why?" Carter smiled, a genuine warmth in his expression. "Because it's the right thing to do, Ambassador. We look out for each other no matter where we're from." For the first time, Velexia felt a crack in the wall of prejudice she had built around herself. Perhaps humans were not the barbarians she had believed them to be. Perhaps they were capable of kindness and courage, just like her own people. As they left the exhibition hall, Valexia's thoughts were filled with new questions and possibilities. The day had begun with disdain and reluctance, but it had ended with a glimmer of hope and understanding. She glanced at Carter, who walked beside her, his presence a steady and reassuring force. "Thank you, Captain," she said softly, "for everything." Carter looked at her, his eyes filled with a quiet strength. "There's more to us than meets the eye, Velexia. Maybe you'll see that in time." Velexia nodded, her heart lighter than it had been in a long time. Perhaps there was hope for peace and understanding between their peoples after all. Velexia found herself standing in the bustling heart of Nexus Prime's marketplace, a chaotic blend of alien cultures and goods. The air was thick with the scent of exotic spices, and the cacophony of voices in countless languages was almost overwhelming. Stalls overflowing with vibrant fabrics, glistening gemstones, and peculiar gadgets lined the narrow pathways, each vying for attention in this teeming hub of commerce. She glanced at Captain Alex Carter, who stood beside her with a calm demeanor, his presence a steadying force amidst the chaos. Today they were tasked with mediating a dispute between a group of human and alien traders, a delicate mission that required both diplomacy and understanding. "Stay close, Ambassador," Alex said, his voice barely rising above the din. "These traders can be passionate." Valexia's antennae twitched in irritation. "Passionate or volatile, Captain? There's a fine line between the two." Alex smiled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Perhaps you'll see that they're not so different from your people once you get to know them." They approached a cluster of traders who were engaged in a heated argument, their voices raised in a mix of human and alien tongues. At the center of the dispute were two figures, a burly human man with a weathered face and a diminutive alien with scales that shimmered like a jewel under the artificial lights. "Let's calm down, everyone," Alex interjected, his voice carrying the authority of his rank. "We're here to resolve this dispute peacefully." The human trader, a man named Harold, turned to Alex with a scowl. "This alien here is trying to cheat me. He promised me a shipment of Xenian crystals, but all I got were these worthless stones." The alien, whose name was Crive, bristled with indignation. "These stones are not worthless. They are rare gems from my home planet, far more valuable than your crude Xenian crystals." Velexia observed the exchange with a growing sense of frustration. Human customs were still a mystery to her, and the nuances of their trade practices even more so. She struggled to understand the emotional undercurrents of the argument, feeling out of her depth in this unfamiliar territory. "Let us approach this rationally," Velexia said, stepping forward. "Can you both present evidence of the agreement you made?" Harold produced a crumpled piece of paper from his pocket, which he handed to Alex. Crive, in turn, extended a sleek data tablet displaying a series of documents. As Alex reviewed the evidence, Valexia's mind raced to find a solution that would satisfy both parties. "We must find a compromise," she said, her tone more confident than she felt. "Perhaps an exchange of goods or services that both of you can agree upon. Harold grumbled, his face red with anger. I don't see why I should have to compromise. This alien cheated me. Crive's scales flared with irritation. And I do not appreciate being called a cheat. I have upheld my end of the bargain. Velexia glanced at Alex, who nodded subtly, encouraging her to continue. Drawing a deep breath, she turned to the traders with a newfound determination. Compromise is essential for peace and prosperity, she said, her voice steady. Harold, consider the value of Crive's gems in your market. Crive, think about the potential of establishing a long-term trade relationship with Harold. Both of you stand to gain more from cooperation than from conflict. The traders fell silent, contemplating her words. After a tense moment, Harold sighed heavily. Fine. I'll take the gems and see if I can find a buyer. But next time, we negotiate the terms more clearly. Crive's scales softened, his anger dissipating. Agreed. I will ensure that our future transactions are more transparent. As the traders shook hands, sealing their agreement, Velexia felt a surge of triumph. She had navigated a complex situation and found a resolution that benefited both parties. She glanced at Alex, who gave her a nod of approval. I never knew humans valued fairness so deeply, she admitted. Alex smiled. It's at the heart of who we are. You did well, Velexia. I'm impressed. For the first time, Velexia felt a sense of camaraderie with the humans she had once despised. She and Alex had worked together to bridge a cultural gap, and in doing so, had taken a step towards mutual understanding and respect. As they made their way through the marketplace, Velexia couldn't help but feel a growing sense of admiration for Alex and his people. The day had been a lesson in humility and empathy, and she found herself looking forward to the challenges that lay ahead, confident that together they could overcome any obstacle. That evening, Velexia received an unexpected invitation. A celebration honoring intergalactic peace was being held in one of the grand halls of Nexus Prime, and she was invited as a guest of honor. The invitation came from Captain Alex Carter himself, and though she felt a twinge of reluctance, her curiosity and a growing sense of duty compelled her to accept. As she entered the grand hall, Velexia was greeted by a sight that took her breath away. The room was adorned with holographic projections of lush, serene landscapes, their colors shifting and blending in a mesmerizing display. The air was filled with the sweet aroma of flowers and the sound of soft, melodic music that seemed to resonate with the very essence of peace and unity. She felt out of place among the throngs of humans and aliens, their laughter and chatter a stark contrast to her own reserved demeanor. Her antennae twitched nervously as she scanned the room for a familiar face. Ambassador Velexia. Alex's voice called out from across the room. He approached with a warm smile, dressed in a crisp uniform that complemented his strong, yet approachable presence. I'm glad you could make it. Velexia inclined her head in greeting. Thank you for the invitation, Captain. The celebration is overwhelming. Alex chuckled. I can imagine. But I'm here to make sure you feel welcome. Come, let me introduce you to some of our traditions. He led her to a table laden with an array of dishes, each one a testament to the culinary diversity of the human race. Velexia hesitated, unsure of what to try, until Alex handed her a small plate of delicate pastries filled with sweet, fragrant fruits. These are a favorite at celebrations, he explained. Give them a try. Velexia took a tentative bite, the flavors exploding on her tongue in a delightful symphony of taste. She couldn't help but smile. This is exquisite. They moved on to a group of humans who were performing a traditional dance, their movements graceful and fluid, accompanied by the rhythmic beats of drums and the haunting melodies of flutes. Velexia watched in awe, her earlier discomfort giving way to a sense of wonder and appreciation for the rich tapestry of human culture. Would you like to join the dance? Alex asked, extending a hand. Velexia shook her head, her antennae twitching with uncertainty. I do not know the steps, and I fear I would embarrass myself. Nonsense, Alex said, his eyes twinkling with encouragement. The steps are simple, and no one will judge you. It's about enjoying the moment and celebrating together. With a deep breath, Velexia accepted his hand, allowing him to lead her onto the dance floor. The music swirled around them, and she found herself moving to the rhythm, her initial awkwardness melting away in the warmth of the celebration. As the night progressed, Velexia and Alex found themselves in a quiet corner of the hall, sharing a drink and a moment of respite from the festivities. The soft glow of the holographic projections cast a gentle light on their faces, and for the first time, Velexia felt a connection with Alex that went beyond mere duty. "You seem more at ease," Alex observed, his voice soft and genuine. Velexia nodded, her eyes reflecting the myriad colors of the projections. "I never thought I would find such warmth here, among humans." Alex's expression softened. "There's more to us than meets the eye, just as there's more to you than the reserved diplomat I've come to know." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the sounds of the celebration fading into the background. Velexia felt a strange sense of vulnerability, as if the walls she had built around herself were slowly crumbling. "I must admit, Captain," she began, her voice tinged with hesitation, "I have harbored prejudices against your people. I believed you to be impulsive, unpredictable, but my time here has shown me that I was wrong. There is much to admire in your culture, your kindness, and your resilience." Alex smiled, his eyes filled with understanding. "We all have our biases, Velexia. It's how we confront and overcome them that defines us. I'm glad you're starting to see us in a different light." Velexia's heart swelled with a mix of emotions: gratitude, admiration, and something deeper, a burgeoning affection that she had not expected. She looked at Alex, her eyes meeting his in a moment of unspoken connection. "Thank you, Alex," she said softly, "for everything." Alex reached out, gently taking her hand in his. "I'm glad you're here, Velexia. It means a lot." As the night drew to a close, they shared a final dance, their movements slow and harmonious, a reflection of the bond that was forming between them. Velexia felt a warmth spreading through her, a sense of belonging that she had not felt in a long time. The celebration had been more than just an event, it had been a turning point, a new perspective on a world that she had once viewed with contempt. As she and Alex danced under the shimmering lights, Velexia knew that her journey was far from over. There were still challenges ahead, but with Alex by her side, she felt ready to face whatever the future held. Velexia stood at the viewing port of Nexus Prime, gazing out at the expanse of stars. The infinite darkness dotted with twinkling lights served as a stark reminder of the vast, interconnected galaxy that lay beyond the station's confines. She had come to appreciate the beauty of this view, finding solace in the boundless space that reflected the complexity of her own journey. Her thoughts were interrupted by a message alert on her communicator. It was from Alex. They had been assigned a joint mission to a nearby planet to mediate a conflict between human and alien factions. Velexia's heart skipped a beat at the prospect of working closely with Alex again, but the tension of the unknown loomed over her. Ready for another adventure, Ambassador Alex's voice crackled over the communicator, a hint of excitement lacing his words. Velexia took a deep breath, steeling herself for the task ahead. "I am, Captain. Let's ensure this mission is a success." The transport ship descended onto the arid surface of the planet Zirion, a world plagued by territorial disputes and scarce resources. The landscape was stark and unforgiving, with jagged cliffs and crimson sand stretching as far as the eye could see. The air was dry and harsh, carrying the faint scent of sulfur and minerals. As they disembarked, Velexia and Alex were met by a delegation of humans and aliens, their faces etched with the weariness of prolonged conflict. The tension was palpable, and Velexia could sense the undercurrents of mistrust and frustration simmering just below the surface. "Welcome," Ambassador Velexia and Captain Carter greeted a tall, imposing human woman who introduced herself as Commander Ingrid. Beside her stood a diminutive alien with luminescent eyes and iridescent scales, known as Counselor Ral AK. "We are grateful for your assistance," Ral AK added, his voice a harmonious blend of notes that resonated in the dry air. "The situation here is precarious, and we need your help to find a peaceful resolution." Velexia nodded, her antennae twitching with determination. "We are here to mediate and ensure that all parties are heard and respected. Let us begin by understanding the grievances of both sides." The meeting took place in a makeshift tent at the edge of a vast canyon, its walls echoing the heated debates of the factions. Velexia listened intently as the humans and aliens each presented their cases, their voices rising in a cacophony of accusations and demands. "Our people need access to the water sources in the canyon," Commander Ingrid insisted, her brow furrowed with frustration. "Without it, we cannot survive." "But the water belongs to us," Counselor Ral AK countered, his scales shimmering with indignation. "It has been ours for generations, and we will not give it up without a fight." Velexia's mind raced as she sought a solution that would appease both parties. She turned to Alex, who was studying a holographic map of the region, his expression thoughtful. "Captain, what if we propose a shared management plan for the water resources?" Velexia suggested. "Both sides can benefit and ensure the sustainability of the supply." Alex looked up, a spark of hope in his eyes. "That could work. We need to emphasize the importance of cooperation and mutual benefit." They presented the proposal to the delegations, explaining how a shared management plan could provide equitable access to the water while preserving it for future generations. At first, the factions were resistant, their deep-seated mistrust overshadowing their willingness to compromise. "We cannot trust them," Ingrid muttered, her arms crossed defensively. "They have deceived us before." "And how do we know you will honor your word?" Ral AK retorted, his gaze piercing and unyielding. Velexia stepped forward, her voice steady and resolute. "Trust must start somewhere. By working together, we can build a foundation of cooperation that will benefit everyone. The alternative is continued conflict and suffering." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air, the weight of their decision pressing down on them. Finally, Commander Ingrid nodded, her expression softening. "Very well. We will try your plan." Counselor Ral AK inclined his head in agreement. "Let us hope this marks the beginning of a new chapter of cooperation." As the delegations shook hands, sealing their agreement, Velexia felt a surge of triumph. They had taken a significant step towards peace and understanding, and she and Alex had played a crucial role in making it happen. Later, as they walked along the edge of the canyon, Velexia turned to Alex, her heart filled with gratitude and admiration. "Your tactical insight was invaluable, Alex. I could not have done this without you." Alex smiled, his eyes warm and full of respect. "And your diplomacy saved us all, Velexia. We make a great team." Their partnership had deepened into something more profound, a bond forged through shared struggles and triumphs. Velexia felt a sense of connection and trust with Alex that transcended the boundaries of their worlds. As they stood at the edge of the canyon, the sun setting behind them in a blaze of crimson and gold, Velexia knew that this was just the beginning. There were greater challenges ahead, but with Alex by her side, she felt ready to face whatever the future held. Velexia's communicator buzzed with an urgent message as she returned to her quarters on Nexus Prime. The emblem of her homeworld, Arcturus, flickered on the screen, and a sense of foreboding settled in her chest. She pressed a button to open the message, and the stern face of High Counselor Kylara appeared, her expression as cold as the void of space. "Ambassador Velexia," Kylara began, her voice tinged with disapproval. "We have received reports of your recent actions. Your growing association with humans and your decisions to compromise have raised concerns about your loyalties." Velexia felt a pang of guilt, but also a surge of defiance. "I am working towards peace, High Counselor. My actions are guided by the best interests of our people." "Peace with humans," Kylara's voice dripped with disdain. "You forget the sacrifices we have made, the lives lost to their barbarity. Do not let your judgment be clouded by misplaced affections." The message ended abruptly, leaving Velexia with a heavy heart. She sank into a chair, her mind racing with conflicting thoughts. Her loyalty to her people was unwavering, but her growing bond with Alex had opened her eyes to new possibilities, new perspectives that she could no longer ignore. Her thoughts were interrupted by the blaring of alarms. The station shuddered, and the lights flickered ominously. Velexia sprang to her feet, her communicator buzzing with a message from Alex. "Velexia, we're under attack. Meet me at the Central Command." She raced through the corridors of Nexus Prime, the acrid smell of smoke filling her nostrils and the sound of distant explosions echoing in her ears. The station was a scene of chaos, with personnel scrambling to respond to the sudden threat. At the central command, Velexia found Alex coordinating the defense efforts. His face was grim, but his eyes lit up with relief when he saw her. "Velexia, thank goodness you're here," he said, his voice steady despite the urgency. "We're under attack by a rogue faction. They've breached the outer defenses and are targeting critical systems." Velexia nodded, her antennae twitching with determination. "What can I do to help?" "We need to secure the civilian sectors and evacuate non-essential personnel," Alex explained. "Your knowledge of the station's layout will be invaluable." They worked together, coordinating the evacuation and ensuring the safety of the station's inhabitants. Valexia's heart pounded with adrenaline as she navigated the smoke-filled corridors, her mind focused on the task at hand. The sight of injured civilians and the smell of burning metal fueled her resolve to protect those who could not protect themselves. In the midst of the chaos, Velexia and Alex found themselves cornered by a group of attackers. The leader, a fierce alien with a scarred face, sneered at them, his weapon trained on Alex. "You'll never stop us from taking what's ours," the attacker snarled. Velexia stepped forward, her voice ringing with authority. "We will not allow you to harm innocent lives. Stand down, and we can discuss your grievances." The attacker laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "Words mean nothing here, Ambassador. Only strength matters." Before Velexia could react, the attacker lunged, but Alex was quicker. He intercepted the blow, using his tactical training to disarm the alien and subdue him. Velexia watched in awe as Alex's movements flowed with precision and grace, his bravery and strength a testament to his character. With the attackers subdued and the station's defenses restored, Velexia and Alex regrouped at the central command. The immediate threat had been neutralized, but the damage to the station was severe, and the toll on its inhabitants was profound. As the adrenaline faded, Velexia felt the weight of her recent choices pressing down on her. She turned to Alex, her eyes reflecting the turmoil within her. "I don't know where I belong anymore," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Alex took her hand, his grip warm and reassuring. "You belong where you feel loved and valued, Velexia. You've shown incredible courage and compassion. Your place is wherever you choose to make a difference." His words touched something deep within her, a spark of hope that flickered amidst the uncertainty. Velexia knew that her path was fraught with challenges, but she also knew that she did not have to face them alone. Alex's unwavering support had become a beacon of light in her darkest moments, guiding her towards a future that she had not dared to dream of. As they stood together, surrounded by the remnants of the battle and the determination of those who had fought to protect their home, Velexia felt a sense of clarity. Her loyalty to her people was not diminished by her love for Alex, rather, it was strengthened by the understanding and empathy that he had helped her cultivate. The road ahead was uncertain, but Velexia was ready to face it, knowing that she had the strength and support to overcome whatever challenges lay in her path. Together, she and Alex would build a bridge between their worlds, forging a new path towards peace and unity. Velexia stood before the grand, imposing doors of the council chamber on Nexus Prime, her heart a tumult of emotions. She knew that behind those doors, a high-level meeting awaited her, one that would determine the course of her future. The echoes of her recent experiences with Alex and the mission they had just completed played in her mind, a blend of triumph and doubt. The doors slid open with a hiss, revealing a vast chamber filled with the stern faces of her superiors and fellow diplomats. The air was thick with the scent of incense, a customary aroma used in Arcturian diplomatic meetings to promote calm and focus. The cold, hard marble of the chamber's floor sent a chill through Velexia as she walked towards the center, her footsteps echoing ominously in the silence. High Counselor Kylara, the figurehead of the Arcturian delegation, sat at the head of the table, her expression unreadable. She gestured for Velexia to take her place at the center of the room, beneath the scrutiny of the assembled delegates. Ambassador Velexia Kylara began, her voice cold and measured. "You have been called here to explain your recent actions and your growing association with humans. There are concerns that your loyalties are being compromised." Velexia felt a surge of anxiety, the bitter taste of it lingering in her mouth. She glanced around the room, meeting the stern gazes of her peers. Her mind raced, grappling with the conflict between her duty to her people and her deepening bond with Alex. "I have acted in the interest of peace and mutual understanding," Velexia said, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. "My association with Captain Carter has been instrumental in fostering cooperation between our peoples." Kailara's eyes narrowed, her gaze piercing. "Peace with humans? You risk everything we have fought for, everything we have sacrificed. Your actions have raised doubts about your commitment to our cause." Velexia took a deep breath, summoning the courage to confront her superior. "With all due respect, High Counselor, my commitment to our people remains unwavering. However, I believe that true peace can only be achieved through understanding and cooperation. Humans are not the enemy, they are potential allies." Kailara's expression hardened, a flicker of anger in her eyes. "Your place is with your people, Ambassador, not with them." Velexia felt a pang of pain at the accusation, but she held her ground. "I cannot abandon what I have found here. The bond I have formed with Captain Carter is based on mutual respect and shared values. It is through this connection that we can pave the way for a better future." A murmur of disapproval rippled through the chamber, the delegates exchanging glances of concern and skepticism. Valexia's heart pounded, the weight of their judgment pressing down on her. She knew she was at a crossroads. Her next words would determine her path. Kailara leaned forward, her voice lowering to a harsh whisper. "You must choose, Velexia. Loyalty to your people or your misguided alliance with the humans. There is no room for both." The ultimatum hung in the air, a heavy burden that threatened to crush her. Valexia's mind raced, torn between her duty and her heart. She thought of Alex, his unwavering support, and the profound connection they had forged. She knew that her path lay not in blind loyalty, but in forging a new way forward. "I choose to follow my heart and my principles," Velexia said, her voice filled with resolve. "I will not turn my back on the chance for peace and understanding. My loyalty to my people does not preclude my desire to build bridges and create a better future for all." The chamber fell silent, the tension palpable. Kailara's eyes blazed with fury, but she said nothing, her silence more damning than any words. Velexia felt a hand on her shoulder and turned to see Alex standing beside her, his presence a steadying force. "No matter what you choose, I'll stand by you," he said, his voice filled with warmth and support. With a final glance at the assembled delegates, Velexia turned and walked out of the chamber, her heart heavy but her spirit unbroken. She had made her choice, and she knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges. But with Alex by her side, she felt ready to face whatever came next. As they left the chamber, Velexia and Alex shared a quiet moment, the gravity of her decision settling over them. They had taken the first step towards a new path, one that would require strength, courage, and unwavering commitment to their shared vision of peace. The vibrant central plaza of Nexus Prime was a hive of activity, filled with beings from across the galaxy. The air was alive with the lively sounds of music and conversation, the diverse scents of food from various cultures mingling in a tantalizing blend. The warm, welcoming atmosphere of the event was a stark contrast to the tension and conflict that had previously gripped the station. Velexia stood with Alex at the heart of the plaza, their hands intertwined, a symbol of the unity they had worked so hard to achieve. Today marked the culmination of their efforts, a joint cultural exchange event designed to foster understanding and build new friendships between humans and aliens. The plaza was adorned with vibrant banners and holographic projections showcasing the rich tapestry of cultures that made up the interstellar community. Delegates from dozens of worlds mingled, sharing stories, music, and food, their laughter and camaraderie a testament to the success of the event. "I never imagined we could create something so beautiful," Velexia said, her voice filled with awe and gratitude. "This is a new beginning for us all." Alex smiled, his eyes reflecting the joy and pride that he felt. "We've built something beautiful here, Velexia, and it's just the beginning." They moved through the crowd, greeting old friends and making new ones. The event was a celebration of the diversity and unity that had been forged through their efforts, a testament to the power of understanding and cooperation. At a table laden with an array of dishes from across the galaxy, Velexia sampled a delicate pastry filled with sweet, fragrant fruits, a reminder of the human celebration that had marked the turning point in her journey. The taste was a symphony of flavors, each bite a celebration of the unity that had been achieved. As the day turned to evening, the plaza transformed into a scene of enchanting beauty. The lights dimmed, and the sky above was filled with a dazzling display of holographic constellations, each one representing a world that had contributed to the event. The air was filled with the soft strains of music, the melodies blending seamlessly with the murmurs of conversation. Velexia and Alex found a quiet spot at the edge of the plaza, away from the bustle of the crowd. They stood together, looking out over the scene, their hearts filled with hope and gratitude for the journey they had shared. "This is a moment to remember," Velexia said, her voice filled with emotion. "We've come so far, and there is still so much more to do." Alex nodded, his expression thoughtful. "We've built the foundation, but the real work is just beginning. We have to continue to promote unity and understanding to overcome the challenges that lie ahead." Velexia felt a surge of determination, her heart filled with a sense of purpose. She knew that the road ahead would not be easy, but she was ready to face it with Alex by her side. Their bond had been tested and strengthened, and she was confident that they could overcome any obstacle. As the night wore on, Velexia and Alex joined the delegates in a final dance, their movements a celebration of the unity and friendship that had been forged. The music swirled around them, and Velexia felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. She had found her place, not just as a diplomat, but as a bridge between worlds, a symbol of the new beginnings that they had worked so hard to create. The event drew to a close, and Velexia and Alex stood together, their hearts filled with hope for the future. They looked forward to the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead, confident in their ability to face them together. As they walked away from the plaza, hand in hand, Velexia felt a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had overcome prejudice and conflict, and in doing so, had built a foundation for a brighter future. With Alex by her side, Velexia knew that they could achieve anything. Their love and commitment to each other and to the cause of peace and unity would guide them through whatever challenges lay ahead.